lady balls. Let's call them that. But at the end of the day, we come out from that and we look back. We don't hang ourselves on that line, and we tell the world and we leave ourselves vulnerable. And more and more people are understanding if someone is talking crap about someone else, it reflects more on them than it does the person that they're trying to destroy. So I wanted to add that little flavor to it, because being transparent doesn't mean people aren't going to talk shit about you, right? They will expand on it and add their own iteration and lies so that they can make, so that they can take away your power. It does nothing but add to mine. So I love it. Exactly. And you got to feel bad for them. You got to feel bad for them because they're carrying around all that hatred. And when they could be expounding on their own beauty because they have it in them, but they could be doing that. But no, they want to wave and point fingers to distract from that closet behind them. When if they just open it, people would be like, oh, I get it. Come here. Let's move on from that. But I feel really bad for them, so anyway, I went off on a tangent. I apologize. Back to you. Back to you, Melody.
Well, absolutely love that, because I think we all need to hear that, and there's lots of truth in that, and we can continue to walk forward and to learn about ourselves. And one of the things, before Melanie kind of asked a few questions to close you out, one of the things that you are saying that I want to highlight, because I think it's so important, is that Jason continuously learns. You are like dropping names of mentors, of books that you've read, and continuously learning. Could you share just a little bit about that, why that's important, especially for us folks that are in business?
Absolutely. Here, this is, so in business, I've got a little thing that I came up with that I really like, which is the two most expensive things in business are ignorance and arrogance, right? Ignorance just means it denotes that you don't have a skill set that you need, right? So you can go and solve those problems. And in that, where do you go, right? I would find somebody who's made a ton of mistakes. That's why we started the consulting company. Find somebody that's made a bunch of mistakes, not somebody that's advertising that they're perfect and walking around their multi-million-dollar mansion and flying off in a helicopter that they rented for $265 that they think that is yours, that you think is there, and, or from a beach somewhere. Look, I've done lives from beaches, but it's not none of the stuff. You've watched me long enough. You couldn't tell what I have from my lives. You can't tell what I have. You have no idea because it's not relevant. It's not relevant. What is relevant is the people that have worked with me, right? That's called due diligence, right? That talk to me, ask me, talk to people who've worked with me. That's where you get your information from, right? And so we have a Facebook page, Anton J Global on Facebook, where you can go and see what the messages from people that have worked for us. So all of that ignorance is something that can be improved upon, but be very careful where you fill that gap of knowledge. Because if it's from the slick Facebook people and the people that have written books and that are on the speaking circuit, for the most part, not all of them, but for the most part, they have no idea. If you're running a business that's doing $1 million or more and you've been in business for a year or more, you know more about business than 95 to 96% of the people that are on the speaking circuit today. Right? And what they're going to do is they give bad advice that actually harms your business and moves you backwards and wastes the number one resource that you have, which is called time. That we can't get back. So be very careful where you fill that gap from by being clear about the gap that exists. What do I not know? Where am I consistently having pain? It's referrals. I'm having a hard time getting referrals. We'll find somebody that understands how to get the referrals. Well, how that interconnects into how you're operating your business. Oh, I'm having problem with getting people to refer me, or I'm having trouble keeping customers to stay with me. All right, that's an operations issue. You're making a promise out into the world that your customer base is not that their customer base, you haven't fallen in love with their outcome. Like, it's specific, right? Another great one. Business is not a bathrobe. One size does not fit all. That means that every company, there's a difference between you and Melody, and there's a difference between what you do and this other person who does what you do versus the person that owns a janitorial company. Everybody's in a different place. Where are you and how do you optimize that and then build a solid company moving forward, okay? Arrogance is the height of stupidity to me. Because arrogance goes, I've got this stuff figured out and I'm going to stop learning, right? That's essentially it. Arrogance comes off as, I don't need any consulting and I don't need a book and I don't need it's the opposite of ignorance, right? It's a stopping point. And all of that is rooted in fear that when you do act, you're going to make a mistake. And where that is grown from is that as a business owner, you have to have all the answers. You cannot show your weakness to your employees, to your client base, to your church, to your family, to your spouse, to your kids, to your friends, to anybody, because if you do, then that equates to you in a business owner's mind that you don't know what you're doing, and that will cost business. So you start to this persona that says, I have all the answers, and that builds a shell over it, and the bad business owners start to believe that they know everything. They start to believe their own, again, smoke their own exhaust. And that's where a big mistake comes in. So that you got to break through and realize that you don't have all the answers, right? You don't have them all. Ignorance and arrogance, two most expensive things in business. Now, going back to your original question, I had to color it with that because my simple philosophy about how I live this life, I mentioned earlier. I believe that I'm here to get as good as I can. That means continuous learning. That means continuous failures. That means continuously learning and not doing the same things that don't work, doing more of the things that do. The very meaning of this ring is to die to the me of yesterday so that I can keep or get rid of the weak parts that don't work and keep the strength and build on that for the day coming forward. So get to be as good as I can with my intellect, my brain, my body, my vitality, my ability to influence, my ability to accept and to receive, so that I can utilize that for service out into the world, which is the ultimate reason for being alive, in my opinion. So that's the answer in a long string of words.
Well, I appreciate the responses. Again, you're very definitely a very sharp business person. But as we come into a close, because I would love to just keep you and just talk about business talks, which again, we'll bring you back for that for all our entrepreneurs and corporate workers out there. But we're going to turn this, as we close this, into something that is both near and dear to our hearts: humanitarianism. Boots on the ground. I did something called One Night, One Voice back in 2013 that ended up saving 20,000 lives halfway around the world. That I thought was going to be a small scale, but the divine alignment of, I'll say it openly, God had a different plan for my small idea. That number 20 was stuck in my head was a representation of over 20,000 lives that then leads me to UNICEF that represents 190 countries. That then leads me to, just beautiful projects. Because what we create here, Jason, and along with Janie with her humanitarian space as well, is we plant legacies forward. The past mistakes that our experiences has brought us where we actually impact generations. So thank you for your service in rescuing folks, boots on the ground from human slavery, because the statistics are out, just scary. And we've come to the point in this world where they're desensitized by those numbers that, sometimes they forget they represent human life. So you and I have been thrown into this project called the Shining Mickey Awards. And trust me, when I saw your name on the judges panel, I was screaming in my side because I said, this is a perfect alignment. Because those that truly have served boots on the ground humanitarian work, not just donate. Donation is awesome. But when you are truly impacting lives by saving them, turns a whole different element. So I just want to get your thoughts in being part of this, your thoughts are part of the project that now will be benefiting small to mid-level nonprofit organizations and B corporations in the field of imagination, creation, and innovation. What is your thoughts on the Shining Mickey Awards? Where are we going with this?
Well, from you, I had the same reaction when I found out you were part of the project, and I love the idea that getting the Disney concept behind all of these nonprofits, because a nonprofit is the same as a regular business, right? But their product is bringing down sex slavery, it's feeding meals, it's lowering the incidence of domestic violence. It's that's their product, right? And so what happens in charity is that they get involved and they get passionate about solving a problem. By the way, 20 was my football number in high school. always been my lucky number, and we're going to feed a billion by November 20th of 2020. So that's the feed a billion number. So I love the number 20, right? So it gave me goosebumps when you were saying it. I'm like, oh, hell no, there's that number again.
Number 20 was literally downloaded that was supposed to be a benefit, I thought was a cabaret concert to help the Philippines when they were hit with that massive hurricane.
Yep.
And that number 20 kept downloading. And I was like, 20 people was going to arrive at this cabaret concert. No, 650 people showed up because there were 20,000 lives waiting on the other side of the world.
Love that.
So number 20 is an alignment and a confirmation. So Shining Mickey Awards, where's your heart in this?
So my heart is, it's, again, we help companies. It's the pebble in the pond that you just said, right? The pebble in the pond is taking all of your influence and being able to influence that next wave of people, just like you just said. You did 650, that led to 20,000, right? And that's exactly what we turn the consulting company into. We find people that are already donating and serving in their communities, churches, for whatever it is. Doesn't have to be anything I'm involved in. We find them, and those are the people that's the sifting, right? We have a lot of people that want to work with us, and the sifting is, let me see your P&L, let me see that you are physically writing checks or donating time to those things. That's the pebble in the pond. So then I can resource them with better management skills, going all the way back to the beginning, so that they can make more money, which is the resource at the top, and they can do more good because they're already demonstrating they will, right? So what the Shiny Mickey Awards represents to me is that we take charities who are trying to do good, and they come in and they think it's all about doing the good, but they become full-time fundraisers. They don't understand about business structure. They don't understand about marketing. They don't understand about creativity and creating innovation inside of a space that very few people actually succeed at. To keep them away from the charities that have no interest in solving the problem that they're there for, because then what happens to their multi-million-dollar income stream when they solve the problem, right? So keeping over here into there's this slice of charity that needs resources, needs to understand how to fundraise, needs to know how to the business skills, and needs to know how to turn the Disney creativity into their own innovation for what they're doing so that they can affect and impact the metrics of what they're trying to do. That's what it represents to me. They're committed to resourcing charities so that they can do more good. And that's what I saw, that's what I see, and that's the power and the influence that we're doing. I'm already doing it with 80 plus charities in this resource page, and we're just going to turn that over to more exposure, more training, more thought processes, more love, more ability to be able to go out and do what they do. That's why I'm super pumped about it. And it's a great idea, and I love the heart and everybody that's involved behind it for their commitment to easing suffering in the world.
That would be the Jason legacy as we move forward into this project. One last word of wisdom for those that are humanitarians, boots on the ground, as we wrap up Life Unscripted. That hour just freaking flew by so fast. And I just love hearing all your shares. But any last words from the great Bald Avenger for those that are going through different types of suffering, whether it's human trafficking that they're currently victims of, or slave, trading, or any violence, and any type of message of hope that you can then share?
If somebody's involved in that world and being held captive or being abused or in a bad situation in any way, shape, or form, raise your hand and we will come get you. We will come get you. Okay, from whatever, if that's a phone call, if we have to make, special arrangements, whatever it is, there are men and women in multitudes continuing to multiply that will come and get you. You do not have to stay stuck. You do not have to live the life that you're living. You just have to reach out, take that risk. And I understand that some people do, and they pay with their life for it. But the more even if that's the expense, I'm not saying to do anything that I don't do myself. I put my life at risk. I put myself in situations that I don't have to. I'm saying you do the same thing, because it may be your light, even in passing,